There we go, we're live again. It's James Smiduc speaking, trainingsites.io. Today what I want to do is I want to go through four to six hacks that I use with mind mapping tools to create video tutorials, online educational material. Some of it for courses, some of it for tutorials, and some of it here for YouTube. So I'm going to go through a little bit of the workflow, and then I'll go through these tips that I use, or these little hacks or workflows that I use with mind mapping tools. And I'll be showing you one called XMind. I'll put the links below to all of these below, but I'm using one called XMind. There's a number of them available. I think that most of them do similar things, but I just want to show them to you because they can make a big difference on getting some kind of process put together, but more importantly, organizing all the content that you end up having to create. So that's the part that's personally a little bit, I tend to be lazy, and often what happens is I'll try and take shortcuts or end up taking shortcuts. So I have to work really hard at organizing this, because if you're creating educational content and you're passionate about something, what I found is that it's like you got a lot of content. So if you have some kind of system set up, that works. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go over the two pieces that I use and how I organize stuff, and then I'll show you how the mind map fits into those ones. So if you aren't familiar with it, I build campuses for people who are wanting to start building their own education business, and it's that whole 10-step process that I call the campus map that you have to go through. So having said that, I need a way to manage the projects, and I do it on my website, on my campus. Technically not a website anymore, but that's another video. On my campus, and I use a tool called Fluent Boards. And that's one of the suite of WordPress plugins and one of the stack of tools that I use personally, and that a lot of people are starting to use more because it is a nice, easy, simple system. They have a little project management tool that is built directly into WordPress. So this isn't Asana or some third-party, ClickUp or any other thing. It's built directly right into the website. So I'm going to open it up and I'll show you kind of what that looks like so that you can see it and what I'm actually doing with that. So here's actually here's the system that I use. I keep all of my YouTube plugins in a board. Actually, let me just, I'll close this so you can see it. So you can see in my YouTube videos, I have a board where I've got ideas, has thumbnail and title, scheduled, in production, marketing launch, and completed. So this is kind of the boards that I have set up. I'm going to open up one that's here just so that you can see it and kind of the steps that are involved. So I tag them as to which part of the map that they're in, and dates, for example, on when they need to be done, description of it here, and then any attachments, what we'll get to, and then any of the subtasks. For example, do I have affiliate links? Have I created the thumbnail in Canva? You know, have I generated a YouTube title, description, and thumbnail? End screens and cards. So these are just some of the pieces that I go through in this. But the one that I want to show you is this one here, where it says research and images. So for me personally, I end up doing a bunch of research, either stuff that maybe might be done in another AI tool, like Perplexity, for example, or Answer the Public, or I may have notes in a Google Doc. So what I do personally is I basically create a folder, and that folder, if I go open it up, you'll see that it keeps, I've got a folder called YouTube tutorials, and then for each of the YouTube videos and or courses, I have another folder called courses, but for this one here, these are the kind of the images, and you'll see MD fields, and I'll get to that in a second because that's where the mind map comes in, some PDFs and the mind maps. So what I do personally is I try and keep a folder for each video and or course, and I put it in a master folder. So if I have courses, I may have a course folder, then the course, and then each lesson will have a folder. That's the way I do it. Doesn't have to be the only way. If you have a better idea, let me know. So that's how I do it, and I use the project management tool so that if we do have work that needs to be done by someone else, or I have a contractor or one of the people that help me on a regular basis, we can keep track of who's doing what task in the notes, and there's a central place to locate it. And then any of the work that gets done is in that shared folder. So that's kind of the big picture that's there. What I want to do is, and the next thing I want to do is I just want to go show you, well, where does that information come from and how do I organize it? And the way that I do it personally is with a mind map. And if you're not familiar with a mind map or you haven't seen one before, again, I'll put a link to some of them below, but there's a number of them that are just easy to use, and there's some really cool, neat tricks that you can do if you're actually building out courses or creating video content. The one that I use is called Xmind. If you go to xmind.app or xmind.net, you'll end up here. They have an online version, and also there's an app that's available. And mind mapping tools, they basically allow you to do stuff like create a connected visual image of complex ideas and organize them. So here's actually this, what I'm showing you now, this is the campus map that we use, the steps that we go through when we're building out campuses and education businesses. So that's available for download, by the way, if you go to trainingsites.io/map. This whole map is available and a course that goes along with it. I'll make that one available for you. So that's what the map is, and it does things, for example, allows you to take a look at individual pieces and break them down, and the things that I'm going to show you that are really cool with that. So, okay, we got a course idea. We're working on all of this stuff. Where does it come from, and where does this map come from? So I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to show you something just to keep in the back of your mind, because I'm assuming, and I recommend that you do a lot of your research and get some help, of course, when you're doing something with ChatGPT and or Claude. So I have another video that is the 31-10-25 video about how to do and create a syllabus. One of the things that you do when you create a syllabus is you can ask or have the syllabus in your AI tool. As an example, I'm just going to refresh the screen here. We'll actually do this one. When you're working in any of the AI tools, one of the things you can do is you can say, can you please output this as a markdown file, especially when you're in ChatGPT. So if I created a syllabus in this particular version, I went through all my steps. In that 1031, I've got basically a course outline done, lesson outlines, the talking points, all of the information that I want because I did the research. And again, I don't generate scripts in here personally. I organize talking points, and we'll see why in a second. So I've got this here, and when I'm ready and happy with everything, what I can do is I can just have download the syllabus markdown file. So what happens here? If I click this, it's going to open up a markdown file. Now the thing is with these mind maps is these markdown files are what mind maps read. So you can actually output from ChatGPT or any of the other tools, and I'll show you how to do it in Claude in a second, a markdown file that you can put into your folder and then import as a mind map. So in this particular one, Executive Career Management, I'll put it into, where did I put it in? I'm going to put it in one of the other YouTube folders just so that we have it in the same place. Yeah, I put it here already, so we'll do another one. I'll just do another one. I did that when I was going over this, so we'll do that. So there we go. So we now have downloaded from the AI tool, we've downloaded a markdown file, and I'm just going to go open up a copy of Xmind here so that you can see what happens. And in my particular case, when I open it up, let's open it up there. We're going to open one up, and what I do is I just open a brand new map, and that's the map that what it looks like when it default. But I'm going to File, and I'm going to go Import. And one of the choices here is Other Map Format, Markdown, Text Bundle, or Word Document. So let's go do an import of Markdown. And if we go and take that Markdown file that we just exported, what you get is a complete syllabus and all of the lessons and or topics that are appropriate for, in this case, Executive Career Management course syllabus. So this one came up with introduction modules, each of the either lessons and or topics, depending on how you requested it. But we now have basically a visual representation of the particular course that we're working on. Now, the reason that I like this personally is because when I was doing it before, what happened was I ended up with huge Google documents with all sorts of notes in different places, not necessarily organized. And then I was kind of manually trying to figure it out and cut and paste and put it into places. So this is a really nice way to be able to show a big picture of what it is you're trying to get across. And it also condenses everything that you've put together so that you're in a great situation to be able to organize these by courses, lessons, or videos, for example. But know as soon as you're looking at it what you're talking about instead of having to read through a big document. Now, one other secret here is this is the default view. In every one of these tools that I'm familiar with, most of them have what's called some different map types. And here's the map that we started off with, the default view. But if you look on the right-hand side, I have map types. I can go and change it to all sorts of different types. This is the paid version, and I think there's a couple extra ones. Most of the mind mapping softwares or services that I've seen, it's like they have 7 or 8 types of mind maps, and like 5 are available in the free version, and the 2 other cool ones are available in the paid one. And this one, the one that I use often, is one, it's either called a timeline here, or in this one I use a brace map, or a tree chart, we'll call this one. So I like to see, for example, all of the pieces. So I've just put it in a linear format now, where I can go and look at the pieces in the modules and it's put together. So that's the first thing I just want to make sure that you kind of wrap your head around. You can export your work in ChatGPT and or Claude, or I haven't done it specifically in Notebook because I haven't created them in Notebook, but the tools allow you to output or export stuff. Claude right now does not support exporting files, so I'm going to show you a quick hack in a second. But ChatGPT does. You just say, hey, I'm creating a syllabus, put it in give me a file, a markdown file that I can use to import, and it will create it for you. The one just to that's kind of weird, I didn't realize until the end, was when you're doing stuff in Claude and you create it, for example, I've got a course structure here. If you look in the bottom right of the screen, I'll move my head, bottom right of the screen there, you'll see that there's a publish, a download, copy contents, and add to current project, which is cool. But if you just hit the download button, guess what it outputs in? Yeah, Markdown. So if you are using Claude, which I tend to do a lot of the times for the actual wording of courses and help with the more language intensive ones, you can just select the download button, save it into your folder. It will be a markdown file. And then you can just do the same thing I just did as import it into Xmind. So that's a kind of a cool one there, just to, you know, get your stuff in a place that's organized, that you can see visually, and have something that, you know, I think is something that gives most people, the majority of people that I know, when they're creating complex things, it always helps to do it in a visual format. So there we go. That's one of the other cool ones. Now I'm going to show you some specific ones that are not, let me just get rid of that one. We'll go back to the map here, and we'll open up one of the ones that I was working on, and let's go here. Got to find the one I was working on. There, executive, okay. Here's the executive one. So here's some things that are really cool with this. Again, here's the other hack here. When you are using this and you have it set up, what I do personally is, if I'm going to create a video, what I do personally is I may go and I may add notes or talking points to the map. So you can select the one that you have. And first of all, if you think module 1 should be module 2, or you want to move it around, you can do that. If you want to change the wording on them, you can do that here directly on the map. So the research you're not doing, or the work that you're not doing that you're going to use to actually either video or present your content, it's not in a document moving it around, it's actually here on the map moving around. So you can play around with any way that you want to do it, change the language, change the order, move stuff around, and this is, again, a nice, easy way to do it. But the way mind maps work that I think is really cool is, if I know that I want to spend some time on the overview of executive career management, and I know that what I want to do is I want to talk about 3 things, I can just do talking point 1, talking point 2, sorry, and so on. So I can add my talking points to each of these ones so that I know this is the lesson, this is the topic, these are the points that I have to get across. And I can add to this as well. Now here's the other kind of hack that I want you to look at. If I'm here and I'm thinking of talking points, I'm trying to figure out where my research is, one of the things you can do with mind maps is anytime that you have some kind of item on the map, if you do a right mouse click, most of the time you'll have insert, a link to a web page or a topic. If you have a web page you want to look at, all you need to do is put in the link, the direct link, and insert it directly into the item that you've got. So now I've got a direct link to what it is that maybe was the reference point or my notes in a document. So if I have a Google Doc, I can put the Google Doc, or I have a Google Sheet, anything I put there. If I have a particular slide deck or website that I want to bring up when I'm actually doing the video tutorial, I have the link and the talking point assigned to each other. Now here's the other thing. Sometimes people say, well, I have a talking point or a piece I want to talk about, but there's 4 items with it. So what you can also do, again, is I did a right mouse click, you can also put a note in. And if you put a note in, you can put the note, which is fine, but you can also add you can put multiple links into the individual notes, plus any things that you, again, if you're using verbiage or anything that you want to use, they're now available directly there. So that's the first thing. Make sure that you, if you have links in research, use your mind map to organize the research as well. And the way I got into this was because what was happening is if I went and took a look at my mind map here, I ended up that I would have links in my project would be individual links to all of the different pieces that might have been in any of these ways. So now I have one single link in my project management tool that links to the folder that I keep stuff that's only specific to that particular course or video. Again, that's the way I do it. It works for me. If you have another way of doing it, I'd love to hear it, to streamline it or change that up a little bit. So there's the, let me just do, did I do one on here? Yeah, look, for example, here, one of the things that I did for this particular video, there's some of the things that I was talking about in this particular video was in the AI tricks for one that's here. So yes, it does work. I like it. It's a lot of fun. Here's another couple tricks, another one that I want to share with you. I didn't number these. I should probably get better at numbering them, but here's the other one that I use on a regular basis. So I'll use links and I'll use notes. I'll export it from the AI tool, import it, then I'll use these notes and tips to reference it. But here's the other thing that most of these particular ones can do. When you're working with a mind map, at some point you go, well, maybe I don't want to have the mind map directly in front of me on my screen when I'm working. I still want an output of my talking points and the key pieces. Well, on this one in Xmind, if I open up the bottom right-hand screen again, you'll notice that there's an outliner. And if you click the outliner, you now get the actual outlines of all your bullet points and the talking points and maybe the links that you've built out. So if you're doing a screen capture, if you're doing any kind of presentation, you do have the ability to pull up a screen while, for example, you're talking directly to the camera. You can see what you're supposed to cover next, or maybe if you're showing a website or another reference material, the links are here in the layout version. And because I put it into this structure, it's in a particular order. So think of it as a teleprompter without being a teleprompter. And even if it is a teleprompter you're using, the best part is I can output this and actually import it to, for example, the Elgato teleprompter, so that I now have all the work, all the research I did, all the links to stuff right in front of me, in front of the camera. Excuse me. So that one's a kind of neat one, is to be able to look and say, yeah, I'm going to go mind map or outliner back and forth. Okay. So here's one other thing. I'm going to show you one other one. You know, you've got a pretty good handle on this. here's the one that really changed things for me in big overall pictures for doing this. So let's say, for example, I'm looking at, I'm putting together my course here, or my main program, or my big picture of all of the things that are involved in starting, building, or growing an education business. So I'm looking at my big map, right? I'm trying to figure out, where does everything fit in? How do I put this together? And I've got these 10 key points that I'm looking at here, but I don't know if you've seen, if you can see in the bottom right, it's very tiny. It just says topics, 1 of 657 topics. So I have a mind map with 650 topics in it. And right now, if you look up on the screen here, you'll see this number 10, it's got 39 topics. Number 9 has 28, 12, 57 in content creation. So we've got these whole bunches of additional material here, and I'm going, man, the map's too big. So if I open this all up, and I said, you know what, open it all up, I'd have 657 different kind of pieces there. Can't use it. So here's what you can do. Again, I think all of the main mind mapping tools do this, but if you look in the bottom of the screen, it says Campus Blueprint. Number 1, discover your perfect topic. Number 2, clarify your goals and purpose. So one of the things that we can do here is, if I'm working on a topic, like this one right here, if I do a right mouse click, if I look down, new sheet from topic. So what I did and what I do is, if I'm working on these particular video content, educational content, if it's a little bit big or if it's part another system, what I do is I just separate them as individual topics, each on a tab. So this way I have access to all of the materials that I want to cover in the map. It's on just number 1. If I want to go and do number 2, it's just number 2. If I want to do number 3, it's just number 3. So adding these tabs across the bottom or separating your major items, again, gives you a way not only to have one map with all of the pieces in one place, but they're broken down by section. And at any time, if I want to just look at the outliner view, I can do that. And I have the outliner view only for the topic that I'm working at. And I have the link back to the original main topic that's here. Okay. So this is a really cool way to kind of, I think, keep organized with all the overwhelm. And also, when we're creating all sorts of content with AI tools, it comes out, but it doesn't mean we have to use it exactly. I like bringing it in as a mind map, and then I add myself to it, because there's things that I may not have thought of, or an item that I may not have thought of, or an order that I may not have thought of that might be better or worse, but I can now change it, add my own talking points, bring my experience into it, and make it my own. But it's organized in a way for the project and also for the information that I've been collecting. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll put the links below to the kind of steps. I talked about folders, project management, export to a mind map. I did ChatGPT does it natively, so you just ask for the file. If you have an artifact in Claude, you can download it and it's an MD file. And then scripting, moving the script around, going to the outliner, adding links and notes, and adding these additional tabs across the bottom. So hope you enjoyed it. It's jamestrainingsites.io. If you haven't already, make sure to go and join. It's free. The campus map is available for download. Also, there's a 10-part course that introduces all of these pieces based on the map. I'd love to have you in our campus, asking questions, getting involved, sharing your experiences as you start, build, and grow your education business. Take care and expect the best.